Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Narayanaya. Shuklambaradharam Vitnam Sachivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyaye Sarvavighnopashantaye Ananta Samsara Samudratara Naukaitabhyam Guru Bhaktitabhyam Vairagya Samradyata Pujanabhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam Anjananandanam Veeram Janaki Shokanashanam Kapisham Vande Lanka Bhayankaram Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Govindaya Namo Namaha Govindaya Namo Namaha Yadangri Pankeru Karenu Lagnam Nibiyaniram Vimadantarangaha Janami Tattvam Nijamatmarupam Janami Tattvam Nijamatmarupam Tam Naumi Narayana Tirthamaryam Tam Naumi Narayana Tirthamaryam. Namaskaram. Happy New Year and welcome to you all. Welcome to the 59th session of Krishna Leela Tarangini. Since we are meeting after several weeks since the last session, let me quickly recap the 57th and 58th sessions. After a brief mention of the two forms of dance, Lasya and Tandava in session 57 and on various forms of Natya in the 57th and 58th sessions, we saw how Tirtha effectively utilized Bharata's Natya Sastra in his Tarangams, especially Tarangam 7. In fact, for most, if not for all, of the songs or Geetams in Tarangam 7, Tirtha has composed Jatiswarams for the benefit of future generations of dancers in the most popular forms of Natyam, which is Kuchipudi or Bharatanatyam style of renditions. To address a couple of important questions from devotees that arose out of the prior sessions, here are some generic answers. It was also seen in both sessions as to how Tirtha's work Krishna Leela Tarangini directly contributed to the growth of Kuchipudi dance form since the 17th century, as we have all come to know, and highlighted all other popular forms such as Bharatanatyam in general. As you may be aware, Sadirattam, a very old form of temple dance in southern India since the 2nd century, was reportedly renamed as Bharatanatyam in 1932, thanks to the sterling efforts of the Indian theosophist Padma Bhushan Rukmini Devi Arundel, one of the patrons of the current day Bharatanatyam form, and also due significantly to Padma Sri E. Krishnaiyer, a classic activist and a popular lawyer who was also popularly nicknamed as Bharatanatyam's guardian angel, to place the art form at a higher pedestal and offer the respect that the dance form richly deserved than the way it used to be mentioned as Sadiratam, and thus relegated to the Devadasis or courtesans, the name given for women originally offered to the service of the temple deities, but exploited by wealthy and self-anointed higher class of men for over 13 centuries. Until the abolition of the practice by the 1934 Act by the British and later by Madras government in 1947 and by Andhra Pradesh Act of 1988, this Devadasi class and the denigration that were given to women continued. At least officially it was put an end to by then. The real respect came after the renaming in 1932, after which many young girls and women from middle class and higher strata of society, especially families considered to be higher strata of society and reputed families, started sending their girls for serious learning of this complex form, and Rukmini Devi Arundel deserves significant credit towards this development. Let us come back to our Krishna Leela Tarangini from the general overview. We heard the Geetam 65 or the 6th Kirtanam in 7th Tarangam, Dhruva Mandala Panditam, through which how Narana Tirtha introduced the complex terms from Natya Sastra, such as Tripataka Pataka Sukarehi, Katakamaka Silimukaihi, and by the profound term Natya Rasotkataha for denoting gopis, and how gopis dance in various speeds like Dhrita Madhyamam Antaragatihi, super fast at times and medium tempo at times and super slow at times, depicting the finest form of Sringara Rasa that emanated from an amalgam of Vibhava, Anubhava, Sattvika and Vyabhichari, the four essential aspects of Bhakti Rasa. An analysis of these took us to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Sri Rupa Goswami, who lived between 1489 and 1564, through which we had a glimpse of the different rasas such as Uparasa or sub-mellows, Anurasa, imitation spiritual mellows, and Aparasa, simplistically named opposing mellows. For want of a better word in English, rasa is denoted as a mellow. Thus, the overlapping of spiritual rasas is described as being first grade, second grade, or third grade. When the 12 rasas, such as neutrality, servitorship, and friendship, are characterized by adverse thayi bhava, vibhava, and anubhava ecstasies, they are known as uparasa or submellows. For those who missed the last session, you may wish to watch the YouTube video on session 58, elaborating the 48 emotional states, 40 plus 8 sattvika bhavas, highlighting the tenets from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in the second canto. A devotee who has one predominant Sai Bhava can experience one of the 7 secondary ratis. Added to these 7, the 33 Vyabhichari Bhavas as well, we get a total of 40 emotional states without reckoning the 8 Sattvika Bhavas. In the spiritual world, all actions and emotions arise from the Sthayi Bhava, and this experience continually submerges the devotees unto the ocean of bliss or Anandaniti or Ananda Sagara. Let us see a little more on Natya Sastra's terms and usages as we evolve into this session through Tirtha's Krishna Leela Tarangini. But first, what Sukha said in Bhagavatam as to this very phenomenon which seemed to have prompted those sentiments from Tirtha, highlighting the dance postures and elaborations. Let us listen to Canto 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 33, the 7th slokam.
Sasmitaihi bhuvilasaihi padanyasaihi bhujavidutibihi sasmitaihi bhuvilasaihi bhajan madhyehi Chalakuchapataihi Kundalai Gandalolaihi Swiddal Mukyam Kavararasana Agrantyaha Krishnavadya Agrantaya Krishnavadva Gayantyastam Taditayivata Mega Chakre Vireju
Padanyasaihi Bhuja Vidutibihi Sasmidaihi Bhuvilasaihi Bhajyan Madhyehi Chalakochapataihi Kundalaihi Gandalolaihi Siddhyan Mukyaha Kavara Rasana Agrantyaha Krishnavadva Gayantyastam Tadita Ivata Mega Chakre Vireju. As the gopis were singing in praise of Krishna, so many things were happening. Their feet was dancing, their hands were gesturing, and their eyebrows were moving with playful smiles as if each part of their action was independent. They were in ecstasy. With their braids and bells tight and their waist bending, with so much of quick action, with so much of perspiration, their garments were moving around, earrings were swinging, and the description by Sukha was sterling. Sukha says as if Krishna's young consort shone like streaks of lightning in a mass of clouds. He compares Krishna as a mass of clouds in the center, and the lightning were going around the mass of clouds. Acharya has explained that according to the analogy of lightning flashing in clouds, the perspiration on the lovely faces of the gopis resembled drops of mist, and their singing resembled thunder. The word agrantayaha may also be read agrantayaha, meaning loosened. This would indicate that although the gopis began the dance with their hair and bells and everything prim and proper, appropriately tightly drawn and tied up, the way they became ecstatic and started dancing, they gradually slackened and loosened due to inexplicable excitement and dance. Another Acharya points out that the gopis were experts at exhibiting mudras, which are precise hand gestures that express feelings or convey meanings associated with the theme of performance. Thus, sometimes Krishna and the gopis would artistically move their interlocked arms together, and sometimes they would separate arms and exhibit mudras to act out the meaning of the songs they were singing. So these two actions were interspersed, either in joint union or gopis were dancing separately with mudras and Krishna was also doing independently the same thing. The expression Padanyasehi indicates the gopis artistically and gracefully place the steps of their dancing feet in an enchanting way, and Sasmitehi Bhuvilasehi indicate that the romantic movements of their eyebrows, smiling with love, were most charming to behold.
उच्चैः जगुः उच्चैः जगुः नृत्यमाना रक्तकण्ठय रतिप्रियः कृष्ण अभिमर्श मुदिता यद्गीतेन इदमावृतम् यद्गीतेन
Uchchaihi jaguhu nrityamana raktakantayo ratipriyaha Krishna abhimarsha mudita yadgiteni idamavritam. According to an authoritative book on music called Sangita Sara, Tavanta eva ragaha suryavatyo jiva jatayaha teshu sodasya sahasri pura gopi ikrita varaha. There are as many musical ragas as there are species of life. That's the meaning of what I quoted from Sangita Sara. Among these ragas are 16,000 principal ones, which were manifested by the gopis. Thus, the gopis created 16,000 different ragas and musical modes, each one of them singing in a different musical tune, disseminated throughout the world. The words Yat Gitenedam Avritam also indicate that even today devotees throughout the world sing the praises of Krishna, following the example of gopis, and that is how they are able to impress Bhagavan Krishna and get close to him faster than any other method of bhakti. Sangita Sara is a treatise on music belonging to the 14th century. Reference to this work for the first time was found in Sangita Sudha of Govinda Dikshitar, who adapts many statements made by Madhava Vidyaranya, the author of Sangita Sara. Vidyaranya was a native of Vijayanagara Empire and guru of Arihara and Bukka, Arihara I and Bukka I rulers of Vijayanagara Samrajyam. An eminent musician and musicologist, Vidyaranya was believed to have written this in 1320 Sarka. He completed the work at the request of his patron king Narapati Thakura, and in the work he quotes many of his predecessors like sage Bharata or Bharata Muni and Tumburu, one of the attendants of Mahashiva. This work, Sangita Sara, is one of the important Lakshana Granthas of music produced during the medieval period of music history. Sangita Sara is also the earliest work that discusses ragas in detail for the first time, which is a 14th century book. It deals with the time-honored concept of raga and time theory. Vidyaranya attaches so much importance to raga alapana improvisation of raga, if not as much as to the compositional emphasis. Raga Alapana has 6 sangas like Akshipta, Ragavardhini, Vidari, Sthai, Vartani, and Nyasa. The modern day gimmickry and disproportionate and overemphasis of Swarakalpana exhibitionism was shunned, and of course, it's a deviation only over the last 50 to 75 years, and more so in the last 50 years, where Swarakalpana gimmickry has taken over the entire concert platform. Whereas Sangita Sara disavows any such thing, but place so much importance, in fact, essential importance to Raga Alapana in any delineation, as much, sometimes if not even over, compositional excellence. It is the first Sangita Sastra of modern times to describe the Mela system in Karnataka Sangeetam. The Sangita Sara has a very important place in the history of Indian music, especially that of the South Indian system, which is the most complex. Dr. S.R. writes that it serves as a link between the Sangita Ratnakara, which belonged to the 13th century, on the one hand, and Swaramela Kalanidhi, which came subsequently in the 16th century. The Sangita Sara is really the first work in South Indian music, or Karnataka Sangeetam, popularly referred to now as Carnatic music, also with a bad spelling. Sri Madhava Vidyaranya, the patron saint of Vijayanagara, was the pontiff of Sri Sringeri Sarada Pita, a great Vedantic scholar who has authored many works on Hindu philosophy. Under his guidance, the founders of Vijayanagara initiated the codification of ancient Hindu cultural traditions, such as commentaries being written on the Vedas by Sri Acharya. Let's now listen to Sukha's description of the scene in chapter 33, followed by Bhattadri and Narayaniam Dashakam 65, both revealing identical sentiments.
Kachit samam mukundena Kachit samam mukundena Swarajati Swarajati Ramisritaga Kachit samam mukundena Swarajati Ramisrita Unninye pujitatena Priyata Sadhu Sadviti Tadeva Dhruvamunninye Tasyaimanam cha Bhagavata Sadhu Sadviti Tadeva Dhruvamunninye Tasyaimanam cha Bhagavata Samurchanabihi Uditaswaramandalabihi Samurchayantam Akilam Bhuvanantaralam Samurchayantam Akilam Bhuvanantaralam Twadvenunadam उपकर्ण्य विभोतरुण्यः त्वद्वेणुनादमुपकर्ण्य विभोतरुण्यः त्वद्वेणुनादम् उपकर्ण्य विभोतरुण्यः तद्दादृशम् कमपि चित्तविमोहम् आपुः तद्दादृशम् कमपि चित्तविमोहमापुः
काचित् समं मुकुन्देन स्वरजाति रमिश्रुताः मुन्निन्ये पूजितातेन प्रीयता साधु साध्विति तदेव ध्रुवमुन्निन्ये तस्य इमानं च भगवदात्. One gopi joined Bhagavan Krishna in his singing, and while singing sang pure melodious tones that was well above the swara level or even singing level of Sri Krishna. But of course, she was maintaining it almost like we call it in the harmonic pattern. Krishna was pleased and showed great appreciation for a special performance, and he himself said, "Excellent, excellent, great, great, great." Then another gopi repeated the same melody, but in a special metrical pattern. For that also, she got the special praise of Sri Krishna. This is what Sukha explains as he witnesses Rasa Leela in his vision. And of course, Narayan Bhattadri says, Sammurchanabhihi Uditaswara Mandalabhihi Sammurchayantam Akhilam Bhuvanantaralam Tadvenu Nadam Upakarnya Viboho Tarunyaha Tadadrisham Kamabi Chitta Vimoham Apuhu. 65th Dashakam, Rasa Leela, second slokam. He says, "O Bhagavane Guruvayurappa, the entire world was charmed into a stupor of extraordinary happiness, inexplicable happiness, by the melodious strains of music that flowed from your magnificent magical flute. And it was all based on combinations of ascending and descending swaras. Sammurchanabhihi udita swaramandalabhihi sammurchayantam akhilam bhuvanantaralam." What were the patterns emanating out of that? The ascending and descending swara patterns were emerging therefrom by the remarkable and dexterous application of fingers in positions corresponding to the 7 different swaras. That's what Bhattaduri visualizes when Krishna was playing the magical flute. The great treatise Sangita Ratnakara of 13th century, which I mentioned earlier, has a beautiful slokam. Shrutibhyaha suswaraha sajja rishabha gandhara madhyamaha panchamo daivatascha ata nishada iti saptate tesham samjna sarigama padanitya paramata. Accordingly, the 7 swaras or notes are Sajja, Rishabha, Gandhara, Madhyama, Panchama, Daivata, and Nishada. What did Bhattadri mean when he said Swara Mandalabi, the circle of notes, arrangement of musical scales? Here is where he got the inspiration from when he used this word Swara Mandala, because in Vayu Purana, in the 5th canto, in the 54th sloka, there's a beautiful expression. Sapta swaraha trayo grama murchinascha eka vimshataha tanahatu ekona panchasati edatu swara mandalam. In the 5th canto, in the 54th chapter of Vayu Purana, this sloka comes explaining 7 swaras, 3 gramas, 21 murchanas, and 49 tanas. Sapta swaraha trayo grama murchanascha ekavimshataha, 21 murchanas, tanahatu ekona panchashaditi, 50 minus 1, 49 tanas. Mentioned above is explained as talas as per Vayu Purana. So as old as in Vayu Purana, the number of talas were described as 49 tanas or 49 talas. In Brahmanda Purana, chapters 61 and 62, a dissertation on music and the science of music, coming under section 3, which is known as Upodgata Pada, both. Swaramandala is again explained as similar to what I explained just now. However, some lexicographers such as Amarasinha and Halaida mention that Swaramandala is a kind of veena or stringed musical instrument as used by modern day Hindustani musicians, strumming all the 7 swaras to guide the singer, something akin to Tampura and Karnataka Sangeetam. Every time an Hindustani musician changes raga, he retunes it to the 7 swaras or the swaras that conform to the pattern of the raga which he proposes to sing. It's almost like a lead, giving him a constant indication of what raga he is going to sing so that he doesn't steer. So that is also known as Swara Mandala as an instrument. But what Bhattadri meant, Swara Mandalam, is something related to what Vayupurana explained about the musicology of music. In fact, Bhattadri goes further, but let us look at the second part of the slokam which we actually listen now. Tadvenunadam upakarne vibho tarunyaha tadadrisham kamapi chitta vimohamapuhu. Those young gopikas, bound to you, Guru Vairappa, by firm love, experience indescribable joy in their mind, owing to their ears being flooded with the amrutam or ambrosia of the sound of music that emanated from your magical flute, with its sweetness remarkably enhanced by the nectar of your lips making it, and they drifted into a state of intoxication. Tadadrisham kamapi chitta vimohamapuhu. We will see more on the effect of Venuganam on the gopis in the later sessions at the appropriate place during Rasa Leela, since this chapter 33 with 39 slokams describes in vivid details Bhagavan Sri Krishna's Rasa dance, which he enjoyed with his beloved gopis in the forest along the Yamuna river. First, we will listen to the song by the divine ladies or the celestial ladies in the aerial chariots, singing to one another, extolling the rarest of rare scenes happening below, as described by Naranathirtha, Geetam number 7 in Tarangam 7, or running number 66, Geetam from the inception of Krishna Leela Tarangini.
Jagadisha Pashata Suravara Vanida Jagadisha Pashata Suravara Vanida Jagadisha Pashata Suravara Vanida Jagadisha Pashata Suravara Vanida Jagadisha Pashata Prajangana Biriga Navanavamani Divya Prajangana Biriga Navanavamani Divya Kundala Dharani Nitayam Sajigana Sanjata Kundala Dharani Nitayam Sajigana Sanjata Jagadisha Pashata Suravara Vanida Jagadisha Pashata Shidarajita Satya Loka Vichit Shidarajita Satya Loka Vichitra Shidarajita Satya Loka Vichitra Bodhirayam Leelamaya Divya Sundara Madana Godi Vilasita Divya Sundara Madana Godi Vilasita Tanurva Sudha Sudha Adim Nrityadi Muviki Tanurva Sudha Sudha Adim Nrityadi Muviki Nijadasa Varga Sukha Karakripambura Chirenam Nijadasa Varga Sukha Karakripambu Achirenam Jagadisha Pashata Suravara Vanita Jagadisha Pashata Suravara Vanita Jagadisham Pashata.
As I mentioned earlier, for every Geetam in Tarangam 7, Narana Tirtha gave an exquisite Jatiswaram to follow after the Geetam. This is a bonus given to the dancers, especially as most of the repertoire today in Kuchipudi are from Krishna Leela Tarangini. In this particular song which you heard now, it is Tirtha once again using the Devastris or demigoddesses or celestial ladies who are sitting in their chariots and watching with their husbands to continue the benedictions that highlight the proficiency of Bhagavan Sri Krishna on all forms of dance, combining the power of dance to remove the various forms of fears of existence. Being a Narasimha Upasaka, Tirtha makes this a benediction on Narasimha, one of the significant incarnations of Sri Krishna that we will be listening to. That's the next one. In the one which we listened earlier, Jagadisham Pashyata Suravara Vanita, it is one set of benedictions where the ladies say Krishna dances on the earth and is the ocean of benediction, assuring happiness to the community of his devotees, anybody and everybody. But in the one which we are going to listen now, this is a benediction on Sri Krishna, but as though he is Narasimha, highlight on Narasimha Avatara. Let us listen to that now.
Nityanandamiga Pashyata Narasimham. Nityanandamiga Pashyata Narasimham. Nityanandamiga Pashyata Narasimham. Rajavatu Viradi Kalasakritam Parijanagita Charitam Narasimham. Parijanagita Charitam Narasimham. Nityanandamiga Pashyata Narasimham. Rajavatu Viradi Kalasakritam. Bhaktanam abhayatam bhavabandhana. Bhaktanam abhayatam bhavabandhana. Vidadanam munivarya mokshakavalam. Veda viditam indira lingitam. Daya tudaya paririda modano. Nityanandamiga Pashyata Narasimham. Rajavatu Viradi Kalasakritam. Gopi Jana Manali Chandeka Rupa. Gopi Jana Manali Chandeka Rupa. Dharamiga Paripalita Parijanam Niravani Karuna Rasam Krishna Narasimha. Parijanagita Charitam Narasimha. Parijanagita Charitam Narasimha. Nityanandamiga Pashyata
Nityanandamiga Pashyata Narasimham. O divine damsels, behold here the great Narasimha, the eternally blissful, He outdoes even the ladies of Vrindavanam or Gokulam in the Lasya dance form. Why is this mentioned here? Because we generally described in earlier sessions that Lasya is associated with the graceful dance of a woman, whereas Tandava is associated with the powerful dance of a man. But here, the celestial ladies are highlighting it here, even though the ladies are the ones who are doing the exquisite dancing here. Now you see occasionally Bhagavan Krishna in the form of Narasimha is also dancing. He is replicating the style of Lasya there. He is Narasimha, the most powerful. He is Krishna, the eternally blissful and the man incarnate. But see the graceful form of dance that he depicts here. It is Lasya style, like the ladies. He has the tradition or conduct of doing good to his followers. Of course, he offers freedom from fear to devotees and removes the shackle or chains of mortal existence. There are a lot of benedictions and a lot of Sankirtanam and Bhagavan Narasimha here, Lakshmi-Narasimha. But the highlight here is they are saying the gopis may be doing a remarkable Lasya dance form, but here Narasimha, the Superman, the man-lion form, is himself mimicking and performing the Lasya form. There are two words that require clarification. Indira Lingidam. Until Varahur Sampradaya modified the words and terms, this was Ingita Lingitaha. Whereas Varahur Sampradayam, which really highlighted it in the later years books, they made this into Indira Lingidam. Indira Alingidam. Basing the meaning and context, this was reprinted as Indira Lingidam or embraced by Indira. Who is Indira? Mahalakshmi. The second term that is used in this the Geetam is Aparimita Mother, has been corrected to Aparimita Modatam. The original version seemed to be 150 years ago in the text, Aparimita Mother. But currently now the text is Aparimita Modatam, to bring out the correct meaning of the context. As far as Indira is concerned, Indira by etymology and definition here is one of the many names of Lakshmi, wife of Mahavishnu. This has been highlighted in Katha Sarit Sagara and also in Bhagavata Purana. Katha Sarit Sagara is a large compilation of Puranas with 18 volumes, and the composer or compiler is the great scholar Somadeva, and the work was written between 1063 and 1081, that's namely in the 11th century. Mahalakshmi is referred to as Indira in this book to highlight the incomparable beauty and splendor. Of course, Brahmanda Purana, Canto 4, Chapter 35 also talks about Mahalakshmi as Indira here as the concept of Mahavishnu. Something more repeatedly and authentically highlighted is, in the words of Sukha, the Gopika Geetam, in 19 slokas that you all listened to during Narayaniam Upanyasam. In the 19 slokas, the very first sloka talks about Indira. Of course, that defies all imaginations of exquisite and exclusive poetry. Gopika Geetam, which we will also take it up for a later session. Jayati te adhikam janmana vrajaha srayata Indira shashvat atrahi daita drishyatam dikshu tavaka Stvai drita asavaha tvam vichinvate, that we just now heard. The gopis said, "O beloved, your birth in the land of Braja has made it exceedingly glorious, and thus Indira, the goddess of fortune, always resides in Gokulam. She never leaves Gokulam."
Jayati dedikam Krishna janmana Braja Sayata Indira Krishna Shashvatatrahi Jayati dedikam Krishna janmana Braja Sayata Indira Krishna Shashvatatrahi Daita Drishyatan कृष्णादिक्षु पावका त्वयि हृदासव कृष्णा त्वमि चिन्वते तयि दृश्यतान् कृष्णादिक्षु पावका त्वयि हृदासव कृष्णा त्वमि चिन्वते.
That was the benediction slokam, first out of the 19 slokas of Gopika Geetam. The gopis commence their song of pangs after Krishna disappears from their sight with this invocation and follow through with the 18 slokas which I mentioned earlier, but we will be seeing all of them during and after Rasa Leela. The next Kirtanam, number 9 of Tarangam 7 or 68 in the running number, is yet another benediction on Krishna from the women of Devaloka to one another like the previous song. This song also commences with the popular words Suraloka Vanitaha Sam Avalokayata Devam Akhila Lokadaram Adhikatara Leelam. Let us listen to that song now first.
Suraloka Vanitasam Avalokayata Devam Suraloka Vanita Suraloka Vanitasam Avalokayata Devam Akhila Lokadaram Adhikatara Leelam Akhila Lokadaram Adhikatara Leelam Sharanagata Prana Kalita Sankalpa Mida Sharanagata Sharanagata Prana Kalita Sankalpa Mida Vanabhuvi Maholasa Rasa Rasa Rasika Vanabhuvi Maholasa Rasa Rasa Rasika Vanabhuvi Maholasa Rasa Rasa Rasika Suraloka Vanitasam Avalokayata Devam Prajapura Vasukalita Viviradana Mridanga Prajapura Vasukalita Viviradana Mridanga Sangita Rasa Vigyam Akhila Saradigyam Sangita Rasa Vigyam Akhila Saradigyam Udaya Leelayatītam Rasaganam Ajilyam Udaya Leelayatītam Rasaganam Ajilyam Sadaya Hridayaloka Kalita Kaivalyam Sadaya Hridayaloka Kalita Kaivalyam Sadaya Hridayaloka Kalita Kaivalyam Adhikatara Sagaton Sagagambhiryam Adhikatara Sagaton Sagagambhiryam Vidimuka Virukkyapat Vimala Vijnanam Vidimuka Virukkyapadam Vimala Vijnanam Kanaka Kadi Sutra Valayangata Padikam Kanaka Kadi Sutra Valayangata Padikam Kalita Kautuva Sodi Kamaniya Kantam Kalita Kautuva Sodi Kamaniya Kantam Shivatsa Lakshanam Adeja Duraratram Jeya Samatpadam Adeja Bhuvananam Jeya Samatpadam Adeja Bhuvananam Jeya Samatpadam Adeja Bhuvananam Uraloka Vanitasam Avalokayata
You heard the song and you also saw the slide containing the details or the meaning of the song, which is more benediction, more Sankirtanam and Bhagavan Krishna, and how beautiful he looks when he plays Venugana. Bhattadri, who lived between 1560 and 1666, describes the Rasa Leela or Rasa Krida, or the festival of love, in 5 dasakams. Dasakam 65 to 69. And the first sloka of Dasakam 65 is the introduction for the oncoming most talked about event in Sanatana Dharma scriptures as well as literature. This description of the arrival of Gopikas, who are the main participants in the rarest of events described in all Puranas, is covered by Sri Badarayani, namely Sri Shuka, the son of Sri Badarayana, Vedavyasa, in 16 slokas in Canto 10, Chapter 29. The first to the 16th sloka in Chapter 29 that highlights this Rasa Leela. And the fourth slokam of Chapter 29 is very particular. Nishamya Geetam Tadananga Vardhanam Prajastriyaha Krishna Grihita Manasaha Ajagmuhu Anyonyam Alakshitodhyamaha Sayatrakanto Javalola Kundalaha. When the young women of Vrindavana heard Sri Krishna's flute song, which aroused romantic feelings, their minds were captivated by Sri Krishna. They ran to Vrindavanam, where their eternal lover, Sakshat Sri Krishna, was waiting. But the way they ran, everybody was so surreptitious. Each one went there without the knowledge of the others, each unknown to the others, moving so quickly that their earrings swung back and forth. That is how Sukha explained, Ajagmuhu Anyonyam Alakshitodhyamaha Sayatrakanto Javalola Kundalaha. What a beautiful description. Krishna instigated a sort of thievery in Vrindavana when he played on his flute. The song of his flute entered through the ears of the gopis into the inner treasure chamber of their hearts. That wonderful music stole all their most valuable possessions. What are the valuable possessions of those wonderful gopis? Their sobriety, their shyness, their fear, and the power of discrimination, along with their very minds. And in a split second, this music delivered all those valuable goods of these each gopi, which they cherished as their lifetime treasures. They offered it to Krishna in just a split second by the very powerful Venugana that went in through the ears and right into their hearts. Now each gopi went to beg the Lord to return their personal property. Each beautiful young girl was thinking, I have to capture that great thief. And thus they went forward, each unknown to the others. Nishamya Geetam Tadananga Vardhanam Prajastriyaha Krishna Grihita Manasaha. But how Bhattadri captured this imaginative scene in the very first slokam of Dasakam 65 is the final cap for this session. Let us listen to the slokam 1 of Dasakam 65 from Narayana Bhattadri.
Gopi Janaya Katitam Gopi Janaya Katitam Niyamavasane Gopi Janaya Katitam Niyamavasane Marotsavam Tvamata Sadhuyitam Pravuttagaya Gopi Janaya Katitam Niyamavasane Marotsavam Tvamata Sadhuyitam Pravuttaha Sandrena Chandramagasa Shishiri Kritashe Prapurayo Muralikam Yamuna Vanante Sandrena Chandramagasa शिशिरीकृतासे प्रापुरयो मुरलीकां यमुनावनान्ते यमुना यमुना यमुनावनान्ते.
As though Bhattadri was taking sides with gopis and trying to justify their action, he commences his Rasa-Leela description in the very first Dashakam, 65, with the slokam, Gopi Janaya Katitam Niyamavasane Marotsavam Twamata Sadayitum Pravurtaha Sandrena Chandra Mahasa Shishiri Kritaso Prapurayo Muralikam Yamunavanante. Krishna, O Guruvayurappa, you did this because you promised to the Gopikas at the end of the concluding day of the Katyayani Vratam. Because in Dasakam 60, Sloka 9, Bhattadari says, Viditam nanuvo manishitam. In other words, a time will come, Gopis, don't rush now. Your desire is no doubt known to me, that you want to have an absolute union with me. But a time will come, you need to wait, and I shall give you your penance, the final, I shall give you the gift that you had asked. However, the moonlight nights on the sandbanks of the Yamuna will give you the proper response in this matter, but wait. So, Bhattadari says, after all, since you gave a commitment to these women earlier, you prepared yourself to make good the promised Rasa Krida, and that is why you did this wonderful Rasa Leela on the banks of Yamuna. Let us listen to more of this in the next session.
Narayana 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 Narayana. Hare Krishna Guruvayurappa.